And our next guest is the Credit Crunch wedding expert, Michael Taylor, who promises to bring your wedding in under £5,000. So, Michael, how can we do that?
Well, I work with individuals and couples on improving their relationship with money in order to achieve their financial objectives. And one of the most typical objectives that couples want to achieve is actually getting married.
Of course, can be very, very expensive, but you are the man if we want to keep it below £5,000. Tell us how we do that.
Well, the average number that's been quoted is about £17,000, but the way to trim it right the way down is starting right from the top. And before you actually do anything at all, the first thing you have to achieve, people talk about physical intimacy and should you or shouldn't you before you're married. Well, I talk about financial intimacy, which you should definitely do before you're married. And what that means is the pair of you coming together, drawing the curtains and opening up a spreadsheet and putting together a financial state of affairs. So you can look at how much actual money am I going to have to be able to spend on this wedding to start with. And also, what else can we actually source? Is Dad chipping in a few quid? Is OK Magazine chipping in a few quid? And then we start the process off. Now, the biggest cost, of course, is the venue. Now, you can trim a huge amount of cost off by having a weekday wedding and often on a Sunday wedding. And the way that I always recommend people to approach it, particularly in the current climate, is to go out to a number of different venues that you particularly like and say, well, why don't you bid for my business? Buy on price. Organisations, if you have a popular one, it might be booked up on a Saturday, but they'd definitely be willing to do a deal if you were getting married on any other day of the week.
That sounds great. What about everything else, though? What about the cake and the flowers and things like that?
Well, I always like to start those a little bit further on. I mean, the thing is, when you start in this, because it's effectively a very complicated project, is to be open-minded. Lots of couples come into it and they say, I want a big glitzy wedding, I want this and I want I want that. But the reality is that when they've drafted up a financial state of affairs, is that they haven't actually got £20,000 to go and spend on a nice day out. So you can be creative. You can have that same setup by thinking outside of the box. I mean, coming across to another big expense, which is typically the dress. Now, what I tend to say to couples is go and get yourself a scrapbook. Get lots of ideas, but then start looking around. eBay is a fantastic trove of places to go and pick up a really cheap wedding dress. Charity shops now, you've got charity shops that specialise in doing wedding dresses. There's nothing wrong with having a second-hand wedding dress. Whether the dress is new or whether it's second-hand, you're still going to look absolutely spectacular on the day anyway.
I have to say, a friend of mine, she's just bought a brand new designer wedding dress and has found the exact one, the exact size on eBay. She's absolutely devastated. She can't get her money back.
And it's the same with accessories. I mean, if you take things like your bride's tiaras, other bits and pieces, you can pay £60–70 for them on the high street. £4.80. I've seen a tiara that retailed at 82 quid.
What about, is it bad luck to wear a dress that someone else has worn, or is it, I suppose you're saving the money, you might as well?
Well, yeah, I tend to find that you feel more special about it if you've saved more money. If you can compare what you could have spent on the wedding and what you've actually got, and the difference between the two of them. At the end of the day, you don't walk up the aisle with price tags on everything. And nobody's looking to say, well, I wonder how much that cost and how much did that cost. It doesn't work like that at all. It makes it all the more special by you putting more effort into it, and also by bringing other people into the fold. Another example as well is wedding cars. Wedding cars typically about £400 each per day. But think about, have you got a relative or a friend who's got a particularly nice car that, wash and a vac and a bit of trim on there? Get it done for free as a favour. Or if you are quite keen on having something like a limousine, you can actually get something like an S-Class Mercedes from one of the main car rentals for about £120 for the day, and having a designated driver, you've got exactly the same as what you would have had from a wedding car provider.
That's great. Also, as well on this show, we've had lovely stationery companies where you can actually make your own stationery as well. I mean, I think you get a great sense of pride giving out that on the day, or...
There's so much for free on the internet. Go and Google good ideas for wedding templates, and they'll come into any application. If you've got things like Microsoft Office on your PC, or if you've got a Mac, they've got specific ones. They've got specific templates for free that you can go and do that. If you go to any major stationery shop, you can get hold of fantastic paper and envelopes. The only real cost is the cost of your ink cartridge.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your top tips with us.
Well, thanks for having me on, and I'd just like to say to your viewers at home, if they want to get any more information, they can pull down a wedding planner's spreadsheet off the website, and also all of the tips that we've talked about as well are all listed up there.